This is something that I said many years ago about the old Dyrium dogs. The first few photos are Aragorn, who was over 3/4 Dyrium. His sire was York, a brother to Uric. And however you see the type, it's a very strong, distinctive type of dog. Big, heavy bone, a very intense expression, and a lot of drive for work. Hog hunting, bite work, moving livestock, actual protection work, sport work, you name it. They were just good at everything. Now what I want to show you is one of his sons who was in a breeding program, and he was bred with American lines, Old Belmonte and Alaric. And this is Aragorn's son, Striker. Very similar to Aragorn. A little less typey, but huge, impressive dog. Incredibly aggressive. People that know this dog, well, knew him, he's gone now, but people that knew this dog, that are heavy into dogs and into serious dogs, all say he was the dog of all dogs for being dangerous and just beyond serious. But in the next group of photos, you'll see him crossed with 100% American lines. And you'll see the type is still there. The size is still there. The bone is still there. Most of them, the drive is still there. Some of them didn't have it. That's an Aragorn son, a young male crossed with a Belmonte dog. Still looks a lot like Aragorn. You can still see the type. That's him there again. He was young. And another picture of him. It was actually Aragorn bred to a Belmonte Alaric female many, many years ago. That's him when he was old. Looks like the typical Belmonte, or sorry, not Belmonte, typical Dyrium dog when they're old. But you see the big bone, massive shoulders. So one thing, these dogs had massive shoulders, the old Italian lines. As puppies, they look like football players. But here again, this dog is like a quarter. Oh no, actually that one is half. Half and half. These are hybrids, which to me were some of the nicest dogs back in the day. Young pup again, half and half. But you can see the type is still there. It's still very evident. And that is because back in the day, the Dyrium line was really, really strong in type. And there's no way there was the crossbreeding people want to say with boxers and shit like that. You didn't get dogs that had bones so big you couldn't put your two hands around them. You know, that were like 28, 29 inches tall and just massive and man-eaters. That did not come from boxer. Look at the coat. Does that look boxery? No, absolutely not. These dogs had heavy coats. They could handle the cold, cold winters up here in Canada with a preference to be outside. And like almost all of the photos of these dogs are young, except that's a mature dog. But you'll see there's some more coming up. And you'll see the consistency in type. And Aragorn was bred to a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have photographs or videos of those dogs. And his type was stamped on everything. It was that strong. And if anybody knows anything about breeding and genetics and just how that works, typically the minute you do a outcross, you lose type, you lose consistency. You may see a little bit of each side of the pedigree, but not consistently. Like these dogs were just pretty much recreating themselves in every single litter for generations, regardless of what they were bred to, regardless of the percentage of the old Dyrium blood in them. They were just beasts. There was no boxer in those dogs. However, it was probably, I'm going to say around 2003, that people started wondering who is Dyrium Kennels. And it was only because they saw a couple dogs, couple which I had, and the odd other dog around the world, that people started investigating who this kennel was and wanting to get stock. And then a lot of the dogs that were coming over out of that line didn't resemble the line at all. They were tiny, tiny, tiny boned, very undershot, when a lot of these dogs were level and scissor bite. But very undershot, tiny, tiny boned, squared skulls with no substance, no muscle, no shoulder, totally different body structure, super tight short coat, and just stupid looking. They had like totally the wrong expression. They didn't look anything like these dogs, and I would say to people that I would talk to back then that those pedigrees are frauded. Those are not Dyrium line dogs. They're definitely frauded. And it was just because all of a sudden he became a big thing and the line became a big deal. And Aragorn and his half-sister Kenya were one of the reasons that the line became so sought after, especially in North America. There was only a couple of dogs outside of Italy from that kennel, and most of them were here in Canada. There's Striker again, Aragorn's son. Beautiful dog. And that's Aragorn's son again, with a old Belmonte female. Beautiful dog, but he didn't have the nerve. He was everything, but unfortunately, he took after his mother's side and just had weak nerves. More along the fear biting, which unfortunately those dogs were really well known for back in the day. Hide behind your furniture and you go to pull them out and you'd get nailed. And I had these dogs before I got into the Italian dogs. But yes, so I just wanted to show some photos and say how back in the day this type was so consistent. Didn't matter what you bred it to, it came through. Generation after generation after generation. Hybrid, crossbred, junk dogs do not produce like that. Dogs that are heavily bred for generations to create an actual bloodline will do that. There's no boxer in that dog. People can say what they want. Some of the newer lines, or newer imports, definitely have boxer and whatever other shit they could put in. Dogue de Bordeaux, Great Dane, Boerboel, Bull Mastiff. You name it. But these dogs were more similar to old school presses.